What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the show. I am Ryan Drill. He is Joseph Uglyman Holmes, and we have a fantastic card to dive in and break down right now. UFC 284 goes down this Saturday. There's two title fights right at the top of the card and a whole bunch of great matchups to break down. Joseph, how you feeling, man?
Oh, great, man. I'm excited about this weekend.
It's going to be a fun one. Let's start right with the main event. All right, Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski for all the marbles. It's for the 155 strap. We got Volk coming up from 145, trying to become a double champ. Makhachev looks scary. He's a minus 400 favorite going into this fight. Volkanovski's a
E,
300 dog. What do you see when you look at these two in this matchup? Break this one down for me.
man, from Islam's side, you see a very hungry, dedicated, hardworking guy who's put a lot of work in with some of the best guys on the planet. And then with Volk, man, this he's been through it all, man. He's came from the bottom. He's put in the work. This guy always gets better every time I see him in there. I'm very surprised to see him as such a big underdog. Um, I think I would, if I were a better man, I think I'd bet on Volk, man. He's overcome a lot of adversity in that octagon. He's faced some super high level guys with crazy experience, man. Man, that's surprising.
Well, see, that's the thing. From a betting aspect, I think the smart play is to go with Volkanovski because Makachev, you're not going to win a whole lot of money. He's a massive favorite here, minus 400. In some cases, even more than that. But Volkanovski, with him, we talked before we started this and went live here. This is a guy that he's fought at middleweight. He used to compete in rugby. He was north of 220 pounds. So he's strong as an ox. Do you feel like he's going to be able to hang in there with the grappling exchanges with Makhachev? Because I think that's where a lot of people feel like, that Khabib style is going to get the better of Volkanovski.
Well, man, you seen Volkanovski escape that guillotine choke from Ortega. They grappled a lot of that fight, where Ortega was dominating it, and Volk just managed to stay, you know, present and keep his cardio right. Dude, I think Volkanovski obviously is going to get taken down, but I think his gas tank can handle 5 minutes of a wrestling match with Islam, dude. And I don't know if Islam's going to have taken the forward striking pressure that Volk brings, and be able to just take him down anytime he wants. So I don't know, man. I got high hopes for Volk this weekend. But Islam is the bigger guy, dude, and he's very disciplined in his wrestling, as well. But you also seen him have some success on the stand up in his last fight, also. So this is just a really interesting main event.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So I'm just going to be totally transparent and honest here. I want Volkanovski to win. I'm cheering for him, right? And because I want him to win, I'll probably throw down a little bit of money, hoping that he pulls the upset here. But until I see Makachev lose, if you're gonna basically force me to pick one guy or the other, who's the smart play is who's gonna win, I feel like Makachev's gonna win. But again, from the betting aspect, I lean towards Volk just because of the dog status here and the differential there. But I don't know. How do you give me your official prediction? Forget about betting, Joseph. How does this end?
So with my heart, I think Volk can take it in the fourth round, maybe TKO. With my brain, I think Islam probably gets some third round grappling, maybe TKO as well, maybe rear naked choke. But it's just so hard, man.
I think a lot of people feel this way, right? They're rooting for Volkanovski, but this just could be too big of a mountain to climb. We'll see what happens here, and if Volk can become the double champ. Really intrigued about that main event. Now, the co-main event is for the 145 interim title. Josh Emmett, Yair Rodriguez, and this is much closer. Yair is the favorite, minus 175. Josh Emmett plus 150 as your dog. How do you see this one going?
I do see Yair winning this, man. I could see Yair winning this. Is this gonna be a 5 rounder as well? Yeah, for since it's for a belt. I see Yair probably winning this knockout, dude, third round. Josh Emmett is a forward pressure, heavy hand brawler, right? I think it's safe to say that'd be considered his style. And Yair is just so tricky, man. He set some nasty traps. and his high volume and his kicks. And he's just really unorthodox as well. Josh has shown a lot in the past that he gets in his ego and he'll bang back and forth with you. And you've seen Yair just stop people in their tracks, man. So I do have Yair winning this.
I'm with you there too. And look, I like Josh Emmett. He's got a lot of power, but like you said, he comes forward and Yair is very technical. He's very savvy. He moves well. I feel like Emmett's going to make a mistake and Yair is going to capitalize. I don't know what round it's going to be, but I think it's right. The odds are spot on here where Yair is a little bit of a favorite. And I do ultimately see him getting the finish. Third or fourth round is where I think it will materialize. Let's go to the welterweight division. Now, Jack Della Maddalena and Randy Brown. This is a great fight. And look, Randy Brown's a stud, right? And he's a plus 250 dog here. Della Maddalena is a minus 300 favorite. And I got to be honest, man. I think that's spot on. Maddalena is that dude. He is so
Yeah,
good, so technical, so precise with everything, and he's got so much power. And we've just seen how patient he is in the octagon. He's what he was the rookie of the year for the UFC this past year, and rightfully
yeah,
so. I think this is going to be his toughest test to date with Randy Brown, who's a veteran who's going to come in there and bring it. But give me
yeah,
Della Maddalena for the win here. Obviously, you're not going to win a whole lot of money, minus 300
yeah.
favorite, but I do like Della.
Yeah, honestly, I like that too, man. Randy is awesome to watch. He's a high volume guy, but dude, I'm sorry for him right now. He's been around a while. I think it's probably coming towards the end of his run, and yeah, I see the same thing as well, brother.
Okay, so we're like this so far. These three first
So
three
far,
fights, yeah. So far, I'm sure that will change a little bit. Let's move up to the big boys, Justin Tafa and Parker Porter. Now, this one is very, very close. Parker Porter is a small underdog, plus 105. Justin Tafa minus 125. And we both know with the heavyweights, all it takes is one little mistake, and it's night night. So, who do you feel like is going to get the win here? Do you think the small favorite Tafa wins, or do you like the dog and Porter?
I do like the favorite. I feel like I've seen more of him actually than Porter, but like you said before, man, I feel like this is probably a little too close for me. Just considering that these are heavyweights and nobody's really like standing out, super heavily on this matchup. I would just go with the favorite just to keep it safe because these guys are gonna freaking come out banging.
Yeah, I feel like Tafa has got a little bit more to him than Porter, and Porter's not the biggest heavyweight. He's not terribly tall. I don't think his reach is quite as long. I do like Tafa. I feel like ultimately he'll get the win. I don't know that he finishes Porter because he's so tough, but I think it could go the distance here in this heavyweight bout. Now, a couple of really intriguing bouts at light heavyweight. Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menefield, and Jimmy Crute's the favorite minus 185. Alonzo Menefield plus 160. Man, I'm just gonna throw it to you, man. How do you see this one going?
Dude, I love Alonzo, bro. Alonzo is a very calm, heavy hitting. His fast twitch fibers are just like that. Like I see like a bigger Jeff Neal out of this guy. He might not kick as much as Jeff, but he hits hard as freaking as a Mack truck. So I would actually go with Alonzo. I could be betting with my heart or choosing with my heart just because I do have some history with him and he's such a good guy. Um, but man, I would count on Alonzo getting that upset right here, dude. He hits so hard and he's very tricky.
Okay. I mean, we've seen what Jimmy Crute brings to the table. He's definitely a tough fighter. Do you feel like the odds are right though? Do you feel like Crute should be the favorite, or do you feel like Alonzo should
I
be?
think he should. I think he should be the favorite. Alonzo, I think Alonzo's been around a little longer though too. But he's Alonzo's career's kind of been like, up and down. They put him against really tough guys, and he's kind of just like a step behind. And then some of the guys who haven't been the best competition, he just runs through. So I feel like it's definitely kind of hard to see where exactly he is as far as his skill, but the guy's a savage, man, and I definitely I would stick with him. And again, I could be going with my heart being a little biased, but the skill's there, dude. He hits so hard. His ground game is nasty. He has a very nice kickboxing background. I like Alonzo on this.
Yeah, I like both of these guys. I'm actually just staying away from this one. I feel like it could go either way. Both of these guys are very high level. Now, sticking with the 205 division, Tyson Pedro was welcoming Modestas Bukauskas back to the UFC. Modestas is your underdog here, plus 195. Pedro is the favorite, minus 230. And Bukauskas was let go. He lost 3 in a row, granted to all high level competition, Khalil Roundtree, Jimmy Crew, Michael Olajaychuk. But since he was let go from the UFC, he's had 2 big wins over in Cage Warriors, and he's looked really, really good. So now he's back in the big show, and he's got a tough opponent on his hands and Tyson Pedro. How do you see this fight going, Joseph? Do you feel like Bukowskis can get a win in his first fight back in the UFC, or do you feel like Pedro should get the job done?
Pedro should get the job done, but I do see Bukowski coming in hungry, man, and trying to have a something to prove right now. He has the momentum. He's off that 2 win streak. I'm sure those 3 losses before that doesn't feel good. So I imagine him coming in desperate, coming in a little bit like a cornered animal. So you might not know what to expect from him. But I would probably stay away from this too because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to compare the competition in Cage Warriors to UFC, But I'd probably stay away from it personally.
It really is. It's kind of a coin toss because again, this is one of those fights where I could see it going either way. So it's tough to bet on this one. I feel like there are other fights on this lineup that you could slide into a DraftKings lineup if you wanted to and feel a little bit more comfortable about it. Now, this next fight, Joseph, is another one of those ones where I don't really know where to go. You got Josh Kulabau, who's 10-1-1, taking on Melsik Bagdasaryan, who's 7-1. And this is a high level featherweight bout. Both of these guys are prospects that I feel like the UFC has their eyes on for future contenders, and this is essentially a pick'em. That's exactly what it is. It's a pick'em fight. Do you feel like one of these guys is a little bit more skilled than the other?
I mean, records speak for themselves, but they're both still really fresh. So I think they're kind of right in that process where people are going to figure out what they're about right now. This is probably the fight where we see and we're like, oh, okay, this guy stands out. So I can't really mess with this one, but I would go with the records on this one, the higher record.
So you're going cool about then. You feel like he's gonna
Yeah,
win.
I
All right.
would. That's probably.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen. I'm really intrigued to see who wins that fight and if it's close or if one guy actually stands out because we could have a contender on our hands or at least someone to be in the mix, maybe in the back end of the top 15 here in 2023. Now, Clayton Rodriguez and Shannon Ross is your next fight, and this is at the 125-pound division. And in this one, Rodriguez is a fairly sizable favorite, minus 320. Ross is plus 270 as your dog. And I think they got that right. I think they got that right. Rodriguez is a little bit more dynamic. I do expect him to get the win here. Are you with me on this one, or do you feel like Shannon Ross is going to get the win?
No, I'm 100% with you right here. I'm 100% with you on this one. But this is the UFC, but these are smaller guys even, so it makes it even harder because they're not knocking each other out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you on this one.
All right. Now, the lightweight division has a bout between Jamie Malarkey and Francisco Prado. And this is really interesting because the odds have Malarkey as the favorite, minus 280. Prado is your dog, plus 240. And when you look at Prado's record, we were talking about records, Joseph. He's 11-0. Jamie Malarkey is 15-5. Now, granted, we know Malarkey a little bit better, obviously. Do you feel like the veteran Malarkey should be the favorite, or are we sleeping on Francisco Prado a little bit here?
Dude, I feel like Prado's getting slept on. If you're undefeated, you earned your respect, man. Like I being a fighter, if I get an undefeated person, I'm gonna have to train harder than I've ever trained in my life just because that guy has not faced it yet. He hasn't how do you say he hasn't been murdered. You know what I mean? So this guy's out here a straight assassin, bro. No way. I'm going with him all day.
But this is his UFC debut, so there is that. But when you look at his record, all of his wins are finishes. Every single 11 fights that he's had, he has finished. That is remarkable.
That's insane, dude. And I would not I mean, I get the veteran being the favorite, but would you say minus 240?
Yeah, minus, let me just double check here. Minus 280 is Malarkey and Prado is plus 240.
No, dude. No, 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 no. I wouldn't. I would go with the underdog on this one for sure. He'd probably be one of my picks 100%.
Okay. Well, I'm intrigued about this one because Prado, 11 wins, 11 finishes, and this is his debut. This is someone we could keep our eyes on here moving forward. The featherweight division has Jack Jenkins and Don Shanis on this card, and this is a really intriguing bout. We saw Jack Jenkins on Contender Series look really, really good, and he's fighting in his home country. You know, he's going to have a lot of fans there screaming his name, and he's a pretty sizable favorite, minus 335 against the underdog Don Shanis, who's plus 275. And Don is from my neck of the woods. So I mean, I like the guy. I've interviewed him. I definitely, want him to do well. So this is kind of a tough one for me because Jack Jenkins is a very tough opponent, but Don Shanis is no joke either. He's going to come in there. He's got a very well-rounded skill set, and he's coming into enemy territory. So sometimes the fighter that's fighting in front of his friends and family, that adds a little more pressure to them. Do you think that this fight we could see an upset here in Shanis, or do you feel more comfortable going with Jack Jenkins as your favorite?
I would, I could see an upset here because Don is a very disciplined grappler. Like he's a really good MMA fighter, but his grappling is very disciplined. If you look at his film, you see Don hitting some of the same takedowns every single time. And even in the same fight, he'll hit this person with the same takedown like more than twice, like 2, 3 times. So when I see that out of Don, I see that he's done a lot of drilling and he trusts his coaches. You know what I mean? Because they're giving him the techniques that work, obviously. But he had a really hard turnout on his last fight. It was a short notice against a tough. Was it Stotts? No, I can't remember what the name of his last opponent was, but
Oh,
he came in.
yeah, no, it was who was it? It was Sadiq Youssef.
Sadiq, yeah, man, and you kind of seen Don, not really look himself. So I hope. Also, you have the whole crowd stuff going on. I know Don was training out at Glory, which also could have played a part in this. But I'd be willing to bet that Don found a camp that works best for him, and he's been able to put the time in. I hope that's what he was able to do. But honestly, I'd probably stay away from this man because I feel like they're kind of throwing him to the wolves. He just got in the UFC. He took his first fight on short notice. Now he's fighting a tough Jenkins, and man, I don't know where to go with this one. Honestly, I like Don though. I
Mm.
like him a lot.
I do too. I definitely do too. I'm definitely cheering for him. And this is a New England guy. I got to cheer for my guys. It is a tough fight, man. It's a tough fight. You're going into enemy territory. You're taking on a really well-rounded fighter in Jack Jenkins. So I'm really intrigued to see what Don Shanis brings to this fight here again at UFC 284. Now, Loma Luke Boonmi and Elise Reed is the next fight to dive into. And I just spoke to Elise Reed. She's a pretty big underdog, plus 255. Loma is the favorite, minus 300, and Elise doesn't care. Elise is dialed right in. She is so confident, and she feels like she's learned from a couple of her most recent fights where she's grown as a fighter, and she says we're going to see the best version of her in this fight. I'm not going to go against her. I'm not going to disagree with her. So I am going to go with Elise Reed for the upset here. She's your dog. Elise Reed plus 255. Take it to the bank.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I'm not too familiar with these two women. Is Reed the one with the face piercings, the really pretty one? Kind of looks like Harley Quinn.
No, that's a different one. She doesn't have face piercing. She is
Okay.
pretty, but this is a different one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with these two ladies, honestly. So I think I'll just agree with you because you're a lot more educated on this one. But unless one's undefeated, I'd say let's go with the upset.
Elise Reed for the win. Slide it in there, guys. All right, Blake Builder and Shane Young. This fight right here, I have circled. This, as far as the prelims go, I feel like this could be one of the fights that could steal the show. Blake Builder, we saw what he did on Contender Series. He was a massive underdog in that Contender Series fight, and he came in and shocked the world, and he looked darn good doing it. And he's a small underdog here, plus 115, going up against Shane Young, minus 135 as your favorite. And the only thing that I can really see here, I mean, Blake Builder's 7-0-1. Shane Young is 13-6. So yeah, he's got a lot more experience as a professional, but Blake Builder's a dog. This guy just goes in there and lets it all go, and he's just so tough. I'm not going to be surprised if he pulls the small upset here. Can you give us a little bit more insight one way or the other, Joseph? Who do you see getting their hand raised here?
I mean, Builder's the younger guy as well, isn't he? So coming in this way, man, he does have an awesome win on his last showing. Dude, I could see him making that upset again. I could see UFC building up a new star out of this guy, actually. So I think I'd be going with Builder as well.
Okay. Have you seen much of Shane Young in the past? Do you feel like this is a tough fight for Builder, or stylistically, it's one that maybe could make him look good?
You know, I haven't seen a whole lot of them. I think I just saw his last show. I think that I think these guys might be made for each other at this moment. You know what I mean? One guy was not supposed to win his contender show out, and you saw what he fucking did. Excuse my French. And then I just feel like these guys might be made for each other at this moment.
All right.
Being a dog, you know, kind of having not as much pressure as last time, but still being able to show what he's made of, dude. I'm excited for this one.
Shane Young's lost 2 in a row to Omar Morales and Ludwig Klein, so you know he's hungry to right those wrongs and get a win here. But he's got a tough matchup in Blake Builder on his hands. One more fight to cover. It is Zubaira Tukagov against Elvis Brenner, and this is actually the biggest discrepancy as far as betting goes on the whole card. Brenner's a plus 400 dog, and Tukagov minus 600 favorite. When I see something like this, I know Vegas is onto something. That's why the house always wins. So I usually stay away from going with the underdog in a situation like this. So give me Tukagov to get the win.
Yeah, give it to me too. I just don't touch this one, y'all. You'll be all right. Not this.
Exactly.
That's scary.
Very well said. Smart money right there, my man. Now, before we do sign off, Joseph, when you do look at the card, is there one or two fights that stand out to you that you feel like are locks that you know you would feel comfortable, although you're an official UFC fighter, you can't bet, but for someone out there,
No.
if you were going to tell them to go bet, is there one or two that stands out that you feel like are locks here?
I would say our undefeated underdog. Who is that?
Francisco Prado.
I would definitely go with.
Okay.
I know he's new to the UFC, but guys, undefeated is undefeated. If you lose, if this happens to be his first loss, I feel like you have nothing to be disappointed about. And dude, maybe Emmett, bro. I really like Emmett. I do see Yair, you know, being able to win, but I also see Emmett being able to win, and he's a massive underdog on this, isn't he? So I think Emmett and that other one.
Okay.
I love Emmett, dude. I had Emmett winning when he fought his last fight. I can't think of his name.
Calvin Kattar.
Kattar, yeah. Kattar looked so good that night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
those are
I could see it happening. I could definitely see it happening. Jack Della Maddalena, that's one I feel really confident about. I do like Justin Tafa over Parker Porter as well. And I'm going to go the other way. As much as I like Emmett, I think Yair gets the win. So I could do a little parlay right there of those three. Again, I'm staying away from Volk Makachev just because I want Volk to win so bad. And Makachev just scares me. He's like Khabib 2.0. So we'll see what happens there.
you see better than
2.0. He's Khabib 2.0.
Okay.
So he's like the next Khabib, right? He's like the next guy.
New and improved. Yeah.
If that's how you want to say it. I didn't say that, but he's like the new Khabib of the UFC.
2.0, that means like an upgrade, right?
Well, I think you can look at it a couple of different ways. Like 2.0 is it could be an upgrade, or it could just be, you know, the next version. So I think it just depends on, you know, how you look at it. I'll just leave that up to the viewer, however you want to look at it. Where are you watching the fights this weekend, my man?
Man, probably on my phone at my desk. Honestly, I've been catching myself watching a lot of them on my phone because then I'm trying to like dig through and look up stuff on each guy when I see awesome turnouts. So maybe on my phone, or maybe link up with the team somewhere, somebody's house.
Nice. Well, enjoy the fights. I'll be watching, obviously, myself at home, and we look forward to seeing all of you guys next time. So for Joseph Holmes, I'm Ryan Jarrell. We'll see you next time.
Hey.